making an exception here and doing it differently. So let's start with the things about Starfield that I liked.
Yep,
Let's
everyone
put
does this.
a more positive foot forward.
Yep,
First is
I did it too.
shipbuilding. I know you're probably surprised
Wait,
to
no.
hear that being the first thing mentioned in this section.
No, I'm not surprised. It's just more disappointed because this is the one thing people usually hold up as the like. Oh, sorry, the fucking fan is going. This is usually the one thing that people who otherwise dislike Starfield like champion. It's like, isn't shipbuilding Legos really big chungus? And it just fucking isn't. It has the worst UI UX known to man. Such that even if you were interested in wanting to get into it, you can't. If you want to do anything interesting and creative, you can't. So yeah.
But I really cannot overstate.
But anyway, what I was getting at with starting to record this video was fucking everyone does the, okay, now this is gonna be a savage Starfield takedown because it's a piece of shit game. To make it seem like I'm not an overwhelmingly negative person, how about I open up with some of the things that weren't so flagrantly egregious. So you spend 45 seconds saying like, shipbuilding cool, I like good graphics, and the gun is good, shoot.
State how much I enjoyed editing ships or making completely new ones. The shipbuilding system was something I expected to not touch, because I didn't imagine it would be all that important.
But just like you and the rest of the other patrician TV big chunguses out there, you all fucking loved your ship Legos, didn't you?
In the long term. Turns out, I was incorrect on both accounts.
Yeah, you love your ship Legos.
In adding strength.
You love your ship Legos where every single thing you try to do, that you like make it look cool and stuff, and it looks fine, it looks all good, and you go, alright, save, let me save this. It says something like, this ship is invalid, like, move your dock one position to the left, otherwise the shit's not gonna save, man. And people rave about this being a good system. What's wrong with you?
Longevity and utility to your ride, but it's also super fun.
Okay, tell me the next thing you actually liked about Starfield, right? Yeah, I get it.
There's only
I hate just the shipbuilding. I get it. What next?
So far.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about how bad the character creator is.
Is the character creator?
Really?
It's definitely the most robust one Bethesda has
really.
So far.
Wow.
I remember the days before Skyrim, in Oblivion and Fallout 3, when it was almost impossible to make your character look even remotely attractive.
I've immediately, just based on what he said, somewhat done a 180 on how much I respect this dude's opinions. He probably installed Lover's Lab CVP mods as well, didn't he? Alright then, keep going, son.
We've seen some improvements since then, but as of now, Starfield is the biggest leap forward.
Oh, it's the biggest leap forward because you can make a big sexy, put your penis in. I've had sex. How sexy. Oh, you can have sex. A big sexy. They call it star sex. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, keep going.
Forward in this department. There's sliders galore when you're making your character.
And they don't do shit. And they affect, when you move one slider, they move the other sliders. See, anyway, keep going.
And with enough time and finesse, you can make your character look like just about any real-life person.
You can make, with enough time and hours spent, you can clumsily punch this emilthesda clay into a shape that vaguely resembles the person that you're trying to mimic, but a like Starfield Skinwalker version where everyone looks like Walter or the person you're trying to make in Starfield, like They either look like Walter or Sarah or Andrea. Like, they all just look like those pre-existing face rigs. So that, yeah, this unearths a massive blind spot in my cultural understanding of how people consume Starfield as a product, because it literally never even occurred to me, like how fucking goon-brained is the world that when you boot up Starfield, you think, I'm gonna have sex. I'm gonna make the sex. Sex. You know, that's just what you think when you boot up Starfield and go to make your character. And then when you load in and you're like, when your character's like that, you notice, well, no one else in Starfield is quite as sex as me. So now I need to go and install the one of 10,000s available AI generated poster replacements that replace them with porn. And I need to make all of the NPCs nude with CBB fat cowgirl body type jiggle physics. Because honestly, how else can you play these games if not for all of those things I just described? So you can masturbate with one hand and use the mouse to look around with the other. Presumably you'll need to have auto run on if you want to move with that kind of a setup. But anyway, keep going.
It really is a very good creator.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about Starfield is the general aesthetics. Obviously,
you like the aesthetics, you know, ESTHETIC aesthetics. This guy likes NASA punk.
The majesty of viewing a planet from the vacuum of space or from the point of view of its moon makes for some excellent wallpaper material.
He likes the vibes, bro. He loved the vibes in Skyrim. Aurora Borealis and Jeremy Soule playing Big Chungus. And now, just like Patrician TV and the rest of the other fucking hapless idiots, they're actually buying the shit that emilthesda are selling, yet simultaneously appearing publicly trying to poo-poo it. But they reveal here, within the first 10 minutes, all of them. Go with the Patrician TV one as well. In the first 10 minutes, they act all like self-righteous and smug, like they're the only people ever to have played a game and just walked around and just been in the vibes and shit. The contemplative silence thing from Patrician TV's one. Like, go fuck yourselves. You know, these people need slaps in the face. But anyway, keep going.
There's no denying that. I've absolutely caught myself gazing at the great beyond while wandering.
Oh, have you?
Random.
Oh, well, the marketing worked for you then, didn't it?
The game absolutely manages to take advantage of the visual aspect of its obscenely huge scope.
That's all it can do with it, though, because there's nothing else you can do with it. Just as a nice wallpaper generator program, isn't it?
I also like the look of the UI. It's very much inspired by
actually, no, I'll give you that.
Futurism, judging by the typeface.
I didn't mind how,
but at the same time,
I wouldn't say I liked it.
Sleekness of more modern menus.
But I didn't think it was terrible.
Even though the menus
it was one of the less terrible things about it. I will give you this. The UI, yeah, okay. Out of all the things you've said so far, the UI, yes, I agree.
And leaving a lot of empty space lying around. Continuing the subject of visuals, though, another thing I like is the detail in the environmental and object assets.
Really?
I can definitely tell that the art team was busting their ass to make all the stuff in Starfield look sufficiently futuristic. And
that's basically all they did. Because, I mean, they didn't do
the
similarly for gameplay systems or anything, did they?
Decorations all look sleek and cool. No matter how many times I see them, I can't help but spend a couple seconds admiring the design of a gun when I'm equipping it. They just look so badass.
Oh my god.
Next is combat, which is actually pretty solid and serviceable.
Yeah, the one good thing, and it's because of id Software did it.
Bethesda had a major weakness in gun combat, and honestly, combat in general. But Starfield is definitely the best feeling shooter they've made so far. Granted, it's still not perfect, because some weapons still feel kinda weak even though functionally and statistically they do good damage. It's just the perception of actual power within the game's universe is undertuned. Their sound design isn't so punchy, and enemies don't react so viscerally, partly due to a lack of gore, meaning no head popping with a sniper rifle or a revolver, and no blasting limbs off with a shotgun. Kinda disappointing. Plus, melee isn't all that varied either. Outside of that, though, I don't dislike combat. And unlike with Fallout 3 back in the day, I'm not trying to actively avoid it. As an extension of combat, there's also the boost pack, or the little kit your character wears for extra height and jumps. It's quite fun and useful, and there's multiple types. Extra mobility options in games are almost always a net positive. If Starfield just had a
Keep going, man. Keep going. I'm listening.
both the environment and enemies, I would be actively looking for fights. And then there's lockpicking, which I actually kinda enjoy in Starfield. It's pretty rare for me to not want to skip or avoid picking locks in video games, because usually their associated minigame is boring, tedious, or downright poorly explained and confusing. But the circular slotting puzzle for Starfield's lockpicking is actually kind of fun for me. I don't hesitate at all when I see something locked. I'm totally willing to jump into the puzzle and tackle it, no matter the difficulty. There's
So you can
also
get your
photo
20 gold.
has become a staple of the modern era of AAA games.
Has
And the
it?
photo mode in Starfield,
Fuck, I
while
hate
not
photo
super
modes.
robust,
The only time I've ever used photo modes is by accident.
very snappy and easy to use, with all the basic options you would expect from it, including a lot of filters.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The player
Change the
character
control
is
type.
not voiced, which feels like a small thing to really care about, but it was a
You
point
see me on fire, you fucking dick. Oh, no, you don't. No,
because
you don't.
a voiced protag can significantly
No.
responsive.
Easy.
And considering
That
how
was a
often
really
you
bad
choose
joke.
what to say, making your character unvoiced again was almost certainly the right choice for Starfield. And speaking
you
of
little
dialogue, the act of hailing and talking to random ships out in space is
Come here, you
also
little
quite fun
fuck.
and varied. I didn't do it constantly, but I was
Yeah,
pretty
easy.
surprised at how many different interactions there were, including meeting an old woman named Grandma who invites
Oh,
you on board
he liked the
food,
grandma.
helping out stranded
No.
people, or getting pranked by weirdos who tell a joke and then grab jump away. And finally,
Fuck,
there's
where
a
is he?
few
Where is he?
smaller details
Oh shit.
that I
Oh
enjoyed,
shit.
or
No. You got me on fire.
mission being weightless,
There's a water down here.
encumbrance still allowing
Get in the water.
you to move,
Oh, it's not down
which
here.
is
I'm fucking dead,
fast
man.
travel and
But
making
he's dead too, so
faster
fuck
and
yourself.
faster. Sadly, this is where the list of things I liked about Starfield ends.
Oh, do I get in the water?
Now-
Holy shit, I survived!
Things I didn't like. As you probably expected from the title of this video and the introduction of it, the majority
Now I might actually start
going to
being
be
interested in listening to whatever you have to say again, bro.
Before I get started, I just want to preemptively address two things.
Yeah?
First, I love spacefaring science fiction, so I really
Yeah, like the rest of them. You like Star Trek, do you
even in
come?
spite of my continually strained relationship with Bethesda games. I started the game with the idea in my head that if
You need to aim with stick when you can aim with
one
body.
experience out of the park, then as far as I'm concerned, all my faith in them as a developer would be restored and stronger than ever.
Come here, bitch.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Not even close. Second, I'm sure
Where are you, you little fuck?
listening to this is going to
Oh shit, I'm on fire.
really weird
So are you now, dick.
whole war thing, and I'm just going to put a stop to that right now by saying I loved Obsidian's Pentiment and Tango's Hi-Fi Rush. I have glowing reviews
you're
of
an
both of those
Xbox.
games on this
Xbox
channel.
Chudder,
I
yeah.
wholeheartedly recommend them.
Intimate Big Chungus. And Obsidian,
My
Slopsidian.
disappointment in Starfield has nothing to do with exclusivity, console warring, or with ZeniMax now being owned by Microsoft. No. Oh, and this is officially where spoilers are going to begin.
Oh no, star spoilers, guys.
From the main quest line, to companions, to exploration, all the way to New Game Plus and the
I
weird...
hope your complaints are a bit less basic than what you liked about the game,
Now,
bro.
with all of that out of the way, let's continue on. First is the main quest line.
Wait, come back here, come back here.
Starfield actually does a pretty good job at quickly establishing a promising mystery. You start off your new job as a miner on some backwater moon looking for some precious minerals, but you discover...
People fucking glaze the setup. Even people who hate Starfield seem to glaze the setup. It's fucking boring.
Immediately thrust into the world.
And it removes any and all roleplay.
Group of adventurers...
Backstories you might have had, because here you are, now you're a fucking miner.
...by searching for more of these artifacts. Sounds pretty interesting, right?
Come here, you fucking
Well,
dick.
narratively, yes, it does seem like
Come
a
here, you are, eh?
fascinating
Come
record.
here, you little bit.
Structurally and
Easy
mechanically,
game.
however, it is Bethesda's most boring, fetch questy bullshit main quest line.
Yeah, give me that.
probably ever
Get
made.
angry, my son.
The search
Channel
for
your
more
rage.
artifacts
Do
goes
it.
like
Do it.
this. Go to a planet, enter a cave, mine, or lab, fight either mercenaries or pirates, take artifacts,
Oh, what are the chapters
return
called,
a
man?
constellation to add to their collection. Then you go to a different planet, enter a different cave, mine, or lab.
Inquest.
Fight more
Question
mercenaries
comment.
or
Yeah, tell me about.
Take
Kinda,
your
I've heard enough
there
about how
and
shit the main quest is. Let's get.
Then you
let's
go to
here.
another planet.
Yeah, I want to hear about
enter
his complaints
another
about
cave.
those.
Better than ever. Now, some people take this moment to ask, well, what about taking time to explore planets and moons and make your own adventure?
It's not worth it. There's no adventures to be had.
From the repetitive main quest line or...
But you do that, and all you see is the same 15
Sure,
fucking prop
for a
gen
few hours, it would,
POIs that exist.
until I realized that all the points of interest on any given planet or moon are just procedurally generated trash with no
Yep.
meaningful rewards to be found in almost any of the hundreds or thousands of same-looking caves, mines,
This is
and
more
labs.
interesting than Star
I
Slop.
realized how utterly
shit.
useless
Oh, shit, bro.
exploration was
I'm
when
not used to being this tall.
entered
I'm not being a monkey.
Moon. It was the most
Come here, bitch.
in humanity's
Why is this?
star system.
Why is the
So
stick
I
so
figured the
fucked?
developers must have put something half interesting on it. I scanned my surroundings, and much to my expectations, it was barren, because what would it be? But I picked up the presence of a cave, about a full kilometer away. So
Should
I
be,
sprinted and jumped towards it,
Not so
jumped
cool.
a bit, and walked inside, expecting a decently large maze with something cool in it, maybe a rare gun at least. Sadly, the reality was far less interesting. Instead, the cave was a single room with one
Something still feels wrong about it.
one side to the other. The only route
Why am I?
cave was a single
The stick feels like it's
toolbox
barely
with
fucking doing
one
anything.
unit of an uncommon resource that I didn't even use that often. This was
Doesn't have
the straw
adaptive
that
center
broke the
anymore.
camel's back for me and put a big spotlight on how futile, unfulfilling,
So how about
and
just
time-wasting exploration
reference?
actually is in this game. Assuming you're not following any mission objective and you're doing actual exploration on your own, your only real activities are diving
Oh, I know what it is. I'm such an
literally
idiot.
nothing in them, or blasting your way into mines or labs inhabited by the same group of human enemies. If you're really lucky, you'll fight some local fauna to spice things up a bit. That's all.
Come here, die, but yeah, easy.
Repetitious garbage meant to get you to sink time into.
No, you give me that. I want that health.
Mind-numbing and equally
Well, I did that myself, you know.
potential the game might have had in this area. It just goes to show that
Come here, more kills from you, bitch.
the world with
Come here,
square kilometers of procedurally generated
come here.
is not going to end up with a similar experience being offered. Almost 12 years ago when Skyrim came out, I at least
Come on,
felt
get it.
that
Yes.
adventure. When I wandered into a cave or mine, I knew I was going to get something out of it. I knew something was waiting for me inside. Sure, some of those dungeons ended up being pretty...
How am I second, man?
Oh, right, that was
I'm
something
owning these
I
moves.
complained about back then.
Get my
But
dick.
at least they weren't
Still my dick.
single room hole in the walls with one common sword in the hole. It was never a concern that I would enter this mysterious new location and immediately discover that my time getting there.
No.
Starfield would have been such a better experience with 3
How am I second, bro?
planets with large
Oh,
candy,
but I just got off fire.
then supplemented with a few dozen procedurally generated ones. The sense of wonderment in Starfield is basically limited to landing on a new planet or moon and looking up at the cool view of
How many
its
fucking dicks?
neighbors. Then you're struck by reality that now you're about to spend the next 3 minutes heading to a potentially empty point of interest on foot. Which leads me to my next complaint about exploration: the lack of land vehicles. Starfield takes place in a world where any middle class, or at least upper middle,
Yeah, get fucked. Statue monkey. Die.
comfortably fit
Didn't you die?
a 4
No, I'm gonna die, because that motherfucker didn't die.
across the galaxy in an instant. But for some reason, none of these ships have an onboard garage for at least an ATV. In fact, from what I can tell,
Second.
wheeled vehicles no longer seem to exist at all in this universe.
I mean, gold, but I wanted
You spend
plaid.
hundreds of hours fully exploring one
Man, it's so
planet
sad. I'm
by
gonna
landing in
fucking kill
numerous
your whole
different
family.
spots and visiting a theoretically endless number of points of interest. It seems like a pretty deliberate attempt to inflate the average person's playtime
Yep.
by not giving them a damn bike to ride across the kilometers of nothing between those points of interest. Again,
Oh, but don't worry, guys. Now that if you buy the Shattered Sun DLC, it can, you can do and get a June buggy bike. You can ride around faster to get to your prop gen slot quicker.
Bethesda trying to sabotage their own experience. I can't imagine it would be an engine limitation, considering how fast you can fly past other ships and various visual assets in space, but I could be surprised. Another issue related to on-foot exploration is the lack of local maps for cities, namely
Oh, but don't worry now. If you buy the Shattered Space DLC for just $29.95, or if you get the Starfield Battle Pass DLC Season Pass, you can get new maps. They're just a normal map now in cities instead of just wireframe point maps, what they used to be. Like, intentionally terrible. So don't worry, guys. They fixed it now. They fixed this.
New Atlantis, Aquila City, and Neon. These places range from somewhat large to quite huge, at least as far as Bethesda game cities go. And while it is possible to learn their layouts after several hours of exploration and repeat visits,
I gotta say, my conviction for your other videos, like, this is it. And Lil Thang review and Racket spoilers and Interstellar disappointing